most of you guys would say it's a softball. But for me, this single object and the sport that it represents has been a huge part of my life for the past 10 years. What cannot be known by just looking at this yellow ball with red laces are the lessons that it has taught me, as well as the connections I have made through the countless hours I have spent practicing and playing this sport. Today I will be sharing with you a story behind this particular softball, as well as how this sport connects women from around the world. This past summer, I personally witnessed how softball connects two completely different cultures. I had the incredible opportunity to travel to Cuba and, I was part of the first female softball team to travel to Cuba and play against their national team, the national softball team. And although the language barrier and cultural differences made communication between the two teams very hard, this language barrier was eventually broken through the common language of softball. After playing 2 games against the Cuban national team, we decided to divide up our 2 teams by sending 5 of their players to our dugout and then 5 of our players to their dugout. And the purpose of this was to learn about their game strategies, get to know these women, and to learn about the Cuban culture. So in the dugout, I used the little Spanish that I do know to ask about their families and day-to-day lives and the impact that softball has had on their lives. And on the field, we were very dependent on gestures to communicate our thoughts and ideas. So for example, we would display the number of outs on our hands to each other, and when their best hitter came up, one of the ladies turned to me and made a psst noise and then used her arms to motion that I should move back because she was obviously the best hitter on the team. And after our last game, which also happened to be the last game of my softball career, I asked the ladies, who I got to know pretty well, to sign this very ball for me. So this special souvenir reminds me not only of the amazing trip that I had, but also how a simple object such as a softball can unite 2 different groups of people with completely different backgrounds. And traveling to a poor country such as Cuba was obviously a very humbling, educational, and unique experience that I would have never had if it weren't for the sport of softball. This softball means so much more to me than just an object to play catch with, and I feel very fortunate to have personally experienced how it brought together 2 completely different groups of completely different cultures.